Alright troops, so the day I'm doing a massive collaboration with Crash the Skylands, Thumplander, Skylander Gamer TV, Ignite the Fire, Retix Craft, Sunburning Skylanders and Firebone Cone. So basically I'm just gonna say I'm gonna be ranking the two Undead Skylanders, so Eyebrow and Fright Rider, and basically that's just what everybody else is going to do. So I'll start with Eyebrow. He's honestly pretty good. That his main attack quite OP with his the one where he just like takes the eyes out of the ground. That's mental. Also, he can make his eye just like pop off his head and start flying about and shooting lasers and all that. It's quite cool. It also got a chase variant. Pumpkin Eyebrow. Pumpkin Eyebrow, just it's Eyebrow with a pumpkin. Nothing much to say. But now moving on to Fright Rider. So, here's Fright Rider. I haven't really used him much, but basically his main attack, he gets his little skeleton dog thing to start biting, and he sometimes shoots his spear out. And his secondary attack, he just charges forward with the spear. Also, it's pretty good trying to get out of a situation and also trying to get into one. And his third attack is, it's his mad skeleton dog king goes underground and he just pops up with the spear. He also got two chase variants, Glow in the Dark Fright Rider and Halloween Fright Rider, which I do not have because it is expensive as fuck. But now I'm going to pass it on to somebody else, so catch his after.
For the water element, we have Thumpback and Chill. So let's start with my boy Thumpback. So Thumpback's pros are that even if you have a level 1 Thumpback, his beginning moves are amazing. You have his main anchor attack, which is OP, and then also the belly flop, which makes a great addition to Thumpback. Overall, he's pretty OP, but let's get into Thumpback's cons. Yeah, like most giants, he's really slow. And although some are amazing, most of his upgrades are pretty repetitive. Anyways, let's move on to the pros and cons of Chill. For the first pro, it's that Chill is somewhat fast. She's not the fastest Skylander, still pretty fast though. The Ice Wall attack is really fun, especially if you use it in battle arenas with friends. And if you use the Frozen Fury path, you can make it even more OP. And then if you take the Ice Lancer path, you can upgrade her Javelin, which is kinda cool. Alright, now let's get into the cons. You cannot get Chill's Soul Gem until the Lost City of Arcus, which is at the very end of the game. At least Thumpback's Soul Gem is only on the 5th level. But Chill, though.
Bruh. Today I'm here to talk about the tech element in Skylanders Giants, which consists of Bouncer and Sprocket. One of these Skylanders is really good, and the other one I think is one of the worst Skylanders ever made. If you don't know what it is, I think Bouncer is one of the best Skylanders ever made. Really fun design, very marketable Skylander just because he looks so awesome. A one-legged wheel robot, I mean, that's super cool. He's basically like Trigger Happy on steroids. He shoots very fast with his finger triggers, which is really cool. He just shoots them like this. He's really awesome. Only downside about Bouncer is that you really will probably only ever use his one ability, which is his finger shooting triggers. His laser attack isn't really, practical, or his missile launcher one, but that one primary attack just does its job so well that it really makes up for it, in my opinion. And on the other hand, Sprocket is just, she's not that good. Design-wise, pretty mid, not that great. Her range attack is probably the best one you're going to get, which really isn't even that good. Her Mind's attacks, it's like whatever. Overall, the tech element in Giants had one very, very solid Skylander, and another Skylander just overall just really isn't that good. Overall, though, Bouncer, absolutely flawless. One of the best Skylanders ever. So, you know what? Tech did its job. Alright, thank you for having me in this collab, and I'll see you guys later.
Greetings fellow Poltermasters, I'm Crash Rouser, and it's once again time to Crash Scott here on PokeScott channel, and I'm going to be talking about some giants, the air giants to be particular. And I say giants, I do mean the core and the regular giants, and a pros and cons list of both of them. Well, it's pretty easy, so Let's start off with Swarm to, soften the blow of what I'm going to say after that. So Swarm, hands down, is one of my favorite air Skylanders from the beginning. I absolutely love his character model, especially when he can fly around and shoot the bugs, or shoot the little hornets he has out of his hands. I absolutely love that. I love the fact that you can kind of get locked onto a Skylander or an enemy and start shooting them from the air. And it's so good because he has such a great range when it comes to it. It's definitely one of my favorite things about him, and of course the design is super cool. However, there is a con. If I talked about it in my Honestly Half Hour episode, where I don't like the fact where you can only choose one or the other when it comes to his moves. So of course the big Swarm move can be upgraded, but then you lose out on another one. And I don't like that about a Skylander. I like the fact that when you upgrade him, and no matter what path you choose, he's still overall great. So I don't like the fact that one of his moveset lacks because the other one gets better. Now, it makes you think about what Skylander can I use to make him even better, And for Swarm, I gotta say, I'm pretty overall impressed with him, but yeah, I don't like the fact that he gets neglected when you have to choose a different path. Oh boy, and Jetvac. Well, me and Jetvac has had a very long history, but it wasn't until the core lock that I did where I learned that Jetvac is actually pretty dang good, especially that range when it comes to his air cannon. I do love the fact that the air cannon does shoot really far, and of course you can do a lot of extra damage with it, but I gotta say, for a con though, that's kind of it. I know the absorbing move works for smaller enemies, but I don't see it working on bigger enemies. And his flying move, I don't see a benefit in that at all. So one of the things I don't like about him is the fact that when you suck in the air, when you fly, is kind of meh. But I gotta say that range for the shot is definitely great. And I gotta say, really like that with Jetvac. And of course, I have gained a lot of respect for a previous Rumble winner. Just saying. But as always, I bid you farewell.
Hello, I am Koen from the TikTok Firebone Koen. Today I'm going to be talking about the new Fire Element Skylanders of the game Skylanders Giants. As a congratulations of Skylanders Giants, their 10th anniversary. And let's start with the new giant from the Fire Element, Hot Hat. Hot Hat is a Skylander that can use a flaming bike to run over enemies and use his fire attack, which he shoots out of his hands to kill all the enemies nearby. He also has a raining fire attack, which rains all over enemies to do a little bit of damage and kill them. Personally, I don't really like Hot Hat. It's just his attacks don't really do it for me. It doesn't do enough damage for me to really like it. It's just a bit underwhelming in my opinion. I think they could have made it way better if they just had a better execution of him. And for the new core Skylander of Skylanders Giants, we have Hot Dog. Hot Dog is my favorite Skylander. I just think he is great. He shoots fireballs out of his mouth and can spawn a firewall, which he pushes forward to attack multiple enemies and all the enemies in his path. He has his third attack, which he goes in the air, does a few spins, and then lands on his enemies. If you upgrade to his soul gem, he also leaves a bag of dog shit behind, which when enemies walk over it, they die. Hot Dog is my favorite Skylander because I really like his design and just the attacks. He does pretty good damage too, in my opinion. Also in later games he doesn't fall off or anything. He's pretty good Skylander in my opinion. And that is probably the reason why I have a lot of Hot Dogs.
Yo guys, I've got a spark which I'm going to use to ignite the fire for another collaboration. Today I've been called in to talk about the magic characters which originated from Skylanders Giants for the 10-year anniversary of the game. I'm more than happy to be talking about these characters today, as both of them are really good, and Popfizz even got confirmed very early in the game's marketing, as we regularly saw him in the animated commercials, showcasing his personality, and more importantly, that he turned into a savage beast whenever he drank his potions. That is a fantastic fantastic gameplay concept, having two forms to switch from. Obviously, having two forms can often be a problem, especially when one is more powerful than the other, because in those cases, why even bother using the other form when one is clearly better than the other? It can be hard to balance the two forms, and the developers actually did a great job leaning into this design concept. They made the beast form savage and overpowered, so you want to play as a beast form the entire time, but it's limited to how long this form actually lasts. You're given a timer, which makes the combat all the more intense as you have to rush to defeat everything before the timer drains, and you're reverted back to your regular form. This intensity makes the chaos of the beast mode all the more satisfactory, and with the beast path upgrades, you're rewarded for ravaging enemies, as defeating them refills your timer. Overall, it's just so much more fun to cause havoc and know that you're the one who's doing it, but you also can't be ultimately mindless, since you're left incredibly vulnerable when transforming, so turning into the beast at the wrong time can result in losing a lot of health, and if you rush too much during combat to try and get those kills in, you are going to wind up on the tail end of attacks from enemies, so you have to not only be quick and reactive, but also patient and well thought through. There's a strategy behind it, and this all isn't to say that Pop Fizz's regular mode is a slouch, because trust me, he can still get stuff done. He can lob his potions, the effect of which is dependent on which potion you've switched to, using the tertiary attack button. Yellow potions explode, purple ones create a purple bottled ally, and green ones leave behind a pool of acid. Down the potions path you can lob multiple potions at once, and combine potions for a massive effect, such as an explosion when you combine yellow and green, or acidic bottle allies when purple and green are combined instead. Mashing for potion switching quickly enough allows you to create a massive explosion thanks to the soul gem ability, but going back to the beast path upgrades, you get a special tertiary ability with the beast dependent on what potion you drunk. This really adds to the savagery, and one thing interesting about Pop Fizz is the light core version on the poster and the final light core design don't match up. During production, they obviously had to change the pose for Light Core Pop Fizz, most probably because of spacing issues within the packaging and the fact that they couldn't fit in that original pose they had planned for Light Core Pop Fizz. But now we're going to move on to Ninjini. The Magic Giant was originally going to have this design, which ultimately got scrapped as it looked far too similar to Chop Chop. They returned to this design in Trap Team for the Undead Trapmaster Crypt King. But even after they scripted the initial Magic Giant, they still didn't quite have Ninjini's design figured out yet. She had a more traditional genie look with only a single sword. You can see this model in the files of the Skylanders Giant's alpha build. In the end, they took up a lot more intricacies in the design to create this magnificent giant who became a robot, ninja, genie type hybrid. In game, she's really fun, having two forms the same as Pop Fizz, and here it's actually the transformations between the two forms which benefit the gameplay and encourage you to switch forms in the first place. In bottled form you have more mobility and projectile attacks, as well as an attack that puts enemies to sleep, so you can explode back into your main form and finish off those same sleeping enemies with your powerful wish blades. The regular form also have orbs which can be launched at enemies, so when you want to become maneuverable you switch to your bottled form, and when you're looking for powerful attacks you switch to her regular form. This constant switching back and forth in the gameplay styles makes her character feel refreshing, and it really rewards your approach to combat as it demands strategy. Most people look at the slow speed of her Wishblade attacks and use that as for justification to put her at the bottom of their giant ranking lists, to which I say, giants like Crusher have even slower attacks, so this is a criticism of Ninjini I personally can't get behind. So between the underrated Ninjini and the powerhouse Pop Fizz, we have an awesome unit for the magic element from this game.
Hi, I'm Sunburning from Sunburning Skylanders on TikTok and Sunburning from YouTube. I'm here to talk about the new life Skylanders from Skylanders Giants. For Skylanders Giants 10th year anniversary, and so I still can't believe it's 10 years old. Going to be 10 years old. I remember when Sprout's Adventure came out. But Giants came out when I was 3. Yeah, I was 3 when Skylanders Giants came out. I remember getting the starter pack from Walmart, and I got just the starter pack. I had all my SSA Skylanders, but I had the starter pack. And of course, the starter pack comes with Series 2 Cinder, Jetpack, and of course, one of the Skylanders I'm talking about, T-Rex, which we're going to get into. T-Rex is the life giant. He's probably also the first giant you get. He came out in almost every starter pack. He's very strong, and he has this one move where he gets thorns on his arm, and he runs at you. That's how you make him fast. He is pretty slow. That's my con. But besides that, T-Rex is a pretty good character. His soul gem, he gets a bird on his head. And then the core was, and he also got a variant, Gnarly T-Rex. And he got a mini, or a sidekick back, and then Barkley. I believe Barkley came out with that game. But besides that, the core was Shroom Boom, which I had both. I lost one though. He came out in a 2-pack with Chop Chop and the Dragonfire Cannon. And he also had a light core. He can shoot mushrooms out of his gun, and he also got a Series 2 Entrapping. That's for 2 years from now. He also is the one new life core, of course, because only Skylander Giants only got one core for each new core from each series, from each element. But he honestly is pretty weak, and I never really played with him. But that's really it. So thank you, PokeScott, for letting me come on here, and happy 10-year anniversary, Skylanders Giants. Goodbye.
Hello, and welcome back to another video on... Oh wait, no, this isn't on my channel. I'm making this appearance to talk about the Earth Skylanders of Skylanders Giants, Crusher and Flashwing. I only have 4 minutes, so I think I'm just gonna dive right in. I'm gonna start with the core Skylander, Flashwing. Flashwing is a Earth Skylander. She is a gem dragon. I love her design. Really good. Her moveset is amazing. It's really like, you can get really into a groove where you just, everything works as a perfect combo. Of course, I love spinning around. It's so good. Her third move allows her to shoot crystals all around her, which is really useful in a lot of scenarios. And her first attack is really quick, so it's good for one-on-one encounters. And so when you're just going through small enemies with your dash, with your spin, and then bigger enemies with, you know, the main attack and your secondary attack for big crowds of medium enemies, it's really fun. Okay. I like her backstory. That's pretty interesting. Same with, you know, design. I like her ability to destroy Tizzo. It's very nice. Along with Flashwing, they also introduced Crusher. Crusher is my third favorite Skylander of all time, and for good reason. His main attack is using his hammer, and, you know, it's just a basic attack, but I think it's really effective for lots of counters. His secondary move is where he uses his eyes to turn enemies into stone, which immobilizes them, which is really good for a heavy-hitting Skylander like him. And his third move adds better mobility, and that's really important because he's a giant. It also allows him to prevent taking damage and destroy crowds, so quite important. Of course, I'm talking about these Skylanders fully upgraded, if you can't tell. His design is pretty basic. It's just a rock golem, just like Prison Break, which I love a lot. But it's still really good, and I like his backstory a lot too. Of course, you know, both these characters aren't without flaws, but I can generally overlook them when playing. Like, sometimes it feels like Crusher has a bit too little damage on his third attack of the first combo. But generally, you know, gets the point across. So anyway, thank you for having me here. I think I'm just gonna stop talking now. Bye. Oh yeah, and go and check out my channel.
Alright, Triples, it's me again. Just like to say thanks to everybody that was in this, and as you know, like, subscribe, and don't get wide. Quote by Nathan.